your answer. Okay, so does that help out a little bit, John, with that? Okay, good. Other questions, guys? Okay, yeah, a little bit sneaky. Okay, last one. No gentleman smashed phones with a bat. David Ortiz is not a gentleman. Therefore, David Ortiz smashes phones with a bat. Okay, so we need a major premise, we need a minor premise. Okay, so what's the major premise for this thing? Smashes phones with a bat. Okay, because no gentleman would be outside of that. Okay, so we're going to have our major premise, smashes phones with bats. SFWB, swap. Okay. But outside of that major premise is going to be gentlemen, right? Because not one gentleman would ever smash a telephone pole or telephone with a bat, regardless of how baby-fied that baseball player may be. Okay? So out here, we are going to put gentlemen. All right. So where does David Ortiz go? Hopefully not to the Hall of Fame. Steroids don't allow that. But apparently some discussion says that there should be. So, regardless,
So
where does Mr. Ortiz go?
So David Ortiz is not a gentleman.
He is
right?
not a gentleman, that's correct.
So that's another. That's an.
He could go inside, he could go outside, he could go to hell for all we care, right? Not saying I want that, but, alright. So, this could be Mrs. Ortiz, or Mr. Ortiz, I'm sorry, okay? Or, there could be another diagram, right guys? This is another ambiguous case. Let me draw another one over here. Sorry about that, guys. I ran another one. Okay. Over here. Give myself a little bit of room to construct this. There's actually going to be two diagrams. So, now we still have our smashes phones with bats. And then we have our gentlemen. But isn't it true, guys, that Ortiz could go in the category of smashes phones with bats? Okay. So what we see once again, just like in the previous example, is that there are two possible Venn diagrams. Okay. We don't know which one to pick. One of them satisfies the universal modus ponens for this. The other one does not. Okay. So what we would say is once again that this is invalid. There are two possible Venn diagrams.
The reason we have two different ones is because David Ortiz is not a gentleman. That's the main thing.
Correct, right. If you were a gentleman, we wouldn't even be talking about smashing phones, okay? Nor would we have the idea that this is going to be invalid, okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, I think you answered it very nicely. Okay. Guys, questions I can answer about this? Okay. So, John Bynum.
Yeah, number 3 on this. So like the second circle, like the middle one is student and Chris.
Correct. Chris is a subset of these students, right? Because what it's saying is that Chris will eventually study. So, Chris could be here, or Chris could be inside students, right? Because if he's inside students, he still will eventually study. But we never said that Chris is not a student. So we can't say with any certainty that Chris is inside this circle or outside that circle. That's why we have two different diagrams. Just because there's that ambiguity as to whether he eventually studies and he's a student, or it's mutually exclusive that he just studies but he's not a student. Okay. Does that make sense, John? It's just that he could be in either one of those. We just don't know which one. All right, other questions? Okay, so time to play good news, bad news. The good news is that we've gotten all the material that's necessary up to the first exam. What's the bad news?
The
We
exam.
have to take the exam, right? So let's talk about the format of the exam, and then if you guys have some particular questions for me, I can certainly answer those for you guys. Okay? Generally, the first examination is about 15 questions. Okay? They're either 5 or 10 points apiece. And they're just like the homework questions. Okay, the homework questions are just basically to set you guys up for the exam questions. So Anything that we've done for homework is essentially going to be the format of what to expect on the exam. Okay, so I'm not trying to trick you guys or anything like that. It's all free response. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Is David Ortiz gonna be on the exam?
No, he's much too large to fit on any examination, or most rooms for that matter, as well. Okay, so no David Ortiz, so. Any Red Sox fans in here? Good that nobody raised their hand, because you would automatically fail now. Sorry. No, I wouldn't fail if I for that. Okay, so, first exam, like I said, about 15 questions. Okay, and if you guys want to get an idea of what to expect, assignments 1 through 3, and then also exam 1 review. That's some good places to go and study. So exam, review, number 1. Okay. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of how I kind of work this, the first 60% of the exam is going to be like the logic stuff, the truth tables, the Boolean algebra, the number bases, the logic circuits, and then the other 40% is the stuff that we've done most recently. So let me just kind of give you guys an outline of what to expect with this. Okay, so one question I'll certainly ask you guys. I might ask you guys to verify using a truth table. Okay, like for instance, I might ask you, P implies Q and R is equal to P implies Q and R. Okay? So basically you would either prove it or disprove it by using a truth table. Okay? And you guys know how to do that, right? You guys make your truth table. If the right-hand side equals the left-hand side, it's good. If any of the truth rows are different, it's false. Right, guys? We know how to do that, and that's not a big deal. Okay? Another question I could ask you guys regarding this sort of stuff with the truth tables and logic is I'm definitely going to ask you guys a Boolean algebra question. Okay. And I don't know if this works. Don't go home and try this, but just to give you guys an idea of what I'm thinking, maybe something like Pn not P or Q and P and not Q, or not P and Q or something like that, is equal to P. Okay, like I said, don't go home and try that. Okay, but yes, sir.
And we can use the cheat sheet.
Oh yeah, you can use the list of all the different rules on there. Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure you guys have that with you guys. Okay.
You are not going to give this like a basic rule of inference or the one that you gave us? What is that called?
You mean the one that says
Yeah, this one, right? You're not going to give us this one?
no, you bring it.
We have to bring it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring it for yourself. If you lost it, go online and print it out. Okay. If you can't go online and print it out, then sorry.
How big is the card?
3 by 5.
3 by 5.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff we did regarding this. We did this stuff with the argument forms. Okay, so I might ask you guys to prove or disprove by table. Okay. Maybe something like P implies Q, Q implies R, therefore P implies R.
That's transitivity, right?
Oh yeah, it's transitivity, but I'm just saying something like that, okay? So, yeah, and the ones I write up here, guys, these are just like what I'm going to give you. It doesn't mean it's going to be that exact one, okay?
So this is pretty much structured just like the exam review is now.
Just like the course, just like the exam review, just like the homework, okay?
'Cause this is
I'm trying not to fool you guys, okay? So, if you think I'm trying to fool you, then you might have been asleep for the past month or something like that. Like, I'm literally doing stuff in order, okay? So yeah, I'm trying to make it in the same order and all that stuff, okay?
What kind of stuff would be allowed to put on the note card?
Whatever you want. So I don't care what you write on there. That's your new card.
Oh, okay.
Is it single side or both sides?
Both sides. I don't care. It has to be a handwritten note. You can't type it. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think. I might ask you guys, and again, I say this again and again and again, don't go home and try this because I don't know if this works, okay? But I might ask you guys to use the rules of inference. Okay, so I might ask you guys, like I might give you like P and Q implies not R, S or not T, like some other stuff, therefore not T, okay? But you guys know what I'm talking about, right guys, where I just give you a whole bunch of them, you have to use the rules of inference at the bottom. It was the last question on assignment 1 that I asked you guys to do on assignment 2, okay, that stuff, okay? So, I think right there, those are like 4 good questions that I could ask you guys for 10 points apiece, okay? They're of high level of caliber to ask you guys to be able to do something like that, okay? I'll give you guys some easier ones like converse, inverse, contrapositive. Like if I give you guys a sentence, you guys should be able to do that. So, write converse, inverse, contrapositive. Of some sentence, okay? Trying to think.
And
So-
symbolically, right?
Yeah, either way, sentence or symbolically. Although, if you have to ask you guys to write symbolically, that's really easy, so. Okay. Trying to think of some of the other stuff we did with the logic. What's that? Well, with the logic stuff, I'm getting to the circuits and number bases, because I already know some of the stuff there, but I think that's probably good for the logic stuff. If you guys are good with that stuff for logic, I can't see you guys not doing well on that part, okay? With the logic circuits, what I'll probably do is I'll probably give you guys 2 questions where you have to go to another form, okay? So, probably like 6 and 7 will be logic circuit stuff. In fact, I know it will be.
Is the test already made up?
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, so logic circuits, like for instance, I might ask you guys to go from a table to a circuit. I might ask you guys to go from a circuit to a table. I might ask you guys to go from Boolean to the circuit. I might ask you guys to take a circuit and write the Boolean expression for that. Okay, so just make sure, guys, that you guys can go back and forth between the different forms that we've looked at. Okay, and all of those we've had for homework, all of them we've done in class, so that shouldn't be that big of a deal for you guys. I'll definitely give you guys like one of the number-based problems where I give you guys one of the 3 different types of bases, and you go to the other 2. Okay, so I might, for instance, I might give you guys something like 3 to C in base 16, and what I'd like for you guys to do is to go to binary and decimal. Or I might give you the decimal and you go to the other 2, or I might give you the binary and you go to the other 2. Alright, just delicious. Just make sure, guys, that you can go back and forth between the different number bases. Okay, and of course show your work. Obviously, if you have a calculator that does it for you, I don't mind that, but you got to be able to show your work as to how you got there. Okay. The last question I'm definitely going to ask you guys with regard to the logic circuits and the number bases is the 8-bit addition. Okay, so make sure that you can add something like -17 base 10 plus -31 base 10 using 8-bit addition. Okay. And when I say 8-bit, make sure you actually use 8 bits. There were several of you guys that decided you were going to make up your own system with 6 bits. Okay, you got to use 8 bits when it says 8 bits. Okay.
Are we gonna have to do that rule, negative rule or whatever?
Oh, the 2's complement? Yeah. In fact, for that problem, you'd have to use the 2's complement twice. Okay? In fact, 3 times. You'd have to use the 2's complement, once for each of the negatives, and then once for the solution since it's negative. Okay? So yeah, guys, this part of the examination, probably about 60% of the exam stuff. Okay? So, any questions about that, guys? Bless you. Okay. So, hopefully, guys, that's not too difficult. If I was to focus on anything, guys, probably the 3 questions that traditionally give students trouble: Boolean algebra, as you probably already know, rules of inference, which you probably already know, and then the 8-bit addition. Okay, so I would go back, make sure you guys are good with those three, okay, because I see like, you know, traditionally as a taught the course, those are the three that give students the most trouble, okay?
Can you go through an example of the rules of inference probability?
Oh, yeah, sure. In fact, let me lay out the rest of the examination, and Donnie had a question, and I'll do one of the rules of inference for you as well, okay? And then if you guys have other questions, I'm happy to do those too, okay? All right, so, for the remainder of the examination, that's the stuff that we've been working on Wednesday and then today, okay? So, for instance, guys, for number 10, okay, what I've always done is I've given you guys like a sentence and you write it symbolically, okay? So, like if I said, all cats smell badly, write that using the for all symbol, okay? Or if I said, some people use steroids, leave no T's. Make sure you guys can write it using the exists. Okay, so basically, the very first thing that we did in this section, right guys? Okay. For number 11, what I'll ask you guys to do is I'll ask you guys to write the negation of those sentences. Okay, so that's 10 easy points right there. So for number 10, negation of each of number 10. I'll do the same thing for number 12, except it'll be a conditional statement. Okay, so like I might say, for all beers, if X is King Cobra, then X tastes horrible. I don't know how many of you guys can attest to ever drinking a King Cobra malt beverage, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a -75. That's pretty horrific.